We are live once again.
Oh, jolly good. Hello, folks, friends, Romans, countrymen, and women, of course.
And fans of TeaFlix Tuesday.
That's right, yeah.
And
Tuesday
more importantly, fans of Foghat.
Oh, yes.
We are very...
We've got yet another Brit. God, they're getting in everywhere, aren't they?
I know.
The British chappie to talk to us in a few moments. So Ruth's going to tell you all about it.
We are absolutely thrilled today to chat with the fabulous rock drummer and rock god and wine entrepreneur and multiple Billboard chart topping.
McCartney's tea drinker.
And Mr. McCartney's tea drinker, multiple Billboard chart topping, and going up for a 2025 Grammy for their Sonic Mojo Contemporary Blues album this year. The founding member, and the crowd goes wild, of Foghat, Mr. Roger Earl. Welcome, Roger.
Hello, Roger.
Hi,
come on
how
down.
you doing?
Hi.
I'm just turning my hearing aids up. There we are. Hello.
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 Another bloody Brit, hey?
Are you two Scousers?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, afraid so.
I haven't been to Liverpool in a long time. Last time I was there, I was in a band called Savoy Brown back in 1969.
Right.
That was the last time I was there.
Yeah. Oh, it's changed a lot. It's really great.
Has it changed a lot?
Gearing up for the International Beatles Festival that they have for a week. I think it starts on the 25th.
It's bank holiday weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people are in there from all over the world this week. Yeah.
All over the world.
All over the world. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that?
We should say all over the world.
They're all from all over the world.
That feels like that's right.
So now listen, let's talk about you first. So
really?
Oh yes, of course.
I'd rather talk about you two ladies, actually.
Oh,
ladies.
You better not. Ladies, how very dare you.
Jacket.
So now you've been with about half a century with Foghat. Is that right?
Yeah. We formed in 1971.
Wow.
No, I was in a band called Savoy Brown. Before that, in London, that was I joined them in 1967. Yeah.
Good grief.
Wow.
And I've been playing in bands since I was 16, and I started playing when I was about 11 or 12, I think, somewhere around then. Actually, a quick story. I said, Dad, I'd work after school 3 nights a week, and I used to work Saturday mornings in a bakery. So I had my own money. You know, we weren't sort of rich or anything, but, you know, if you wanted to buy stuff, you had to have a job. You understand that. So I said, hey, Dad, I want to get a motorbike. And he looked at me, and I'm 12 years old. And he said, well, I'm not helping you with that, son. I said, why not? You had one. He said, that was different.
Of course, always.
So I said, I want to play the drums. And he said, anyway, he had a friend who was a drum teacher, jazz drum teacher, great drummer. In fact, the same teacher that taught the Kinks drummer and a few other sort of luminaries. So I'm 12 years old. And he said, well, I'm not helping you with that, son. I said,
wait,
why not? You had one.
Something's playing back.
I don't. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that loop.
As soon as I talk, it comes on here for some reason.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe turn that volume down on that.
And you've disappeared as well. So
still here.
Yeah.
I don't know. Technical difficulties, I think.
Can you hear now?
I can. No, it recorded me for some reason, and I can't hear. Ruth.
Okay, can you?
Never mind. Anyway, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then I'll just keep telling stories.
Good boy.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's back on.
So Dad found me a drum teacher. I started taking drum lessons Saturday afternoons after I got finished working in the bakery, and I joined my first band when I was 16. Maybe it might have been 15, but I think it was 16. And with my best friends that I went to school with, the bass player and I we were best friends at school. We were in this athletic team, and like we used to run and jump. I don't do so much running and jumping anymore.
No, none of us
Me
do.
too.
I walk a lot. And I joined my first band when I was 16 or 17 called The Tramps. And I went to school with all of them. Ray Dorset was the lead singer and rhythm guitar player. And Ray Dorset joined a band with my older brother about 4 years up. And I was about 19, about 20. Called
Colin, right?
In the Summertimes. Colin was my brother. He was 4 years older than me. They had a big hit called In the Summertime, and they toured all over the world. And I joined Savoy Brown in 1967.
Gosh.
I had to give up my day job, though. I was a commercial artist. Actually, I was doing, I left school when I was 15. Went back to night school. I had got a job as a commercial artist. Basically, when you're 15 years old and like you're a commercial artist in London, you're a glorified tea boy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I got the first job because I said, well, I can run, and you have to deliver artwork as well all over London.
Yeah.
They said, you can run. I said, yeah. He said, I had the job. What did I get?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Three guineas a week. It was good fun. But when I was 16, that was the first band I joined. My first gig, I remember, was in the Ricky Tick Club in Windsor.
Oh dear. Posh.
Yeah. I couldn't hear for a thing for a week because we had a couple of like 3 Marshall cabinets, and it was like, that's all right.
Yeah.
You know, I'm one of those fortunate few in this world, got to earn a living doing something I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, I'm picking up a thread here that between wanting a motorbike at 12 and then becoming a semi-professional drummer at 15, that's probably why your corporation is called Noisy Sod.
My mum called me that initially when I was very young.
Yeah.
I'd be always tapping on the table with knives and forks, ruined all our good china.
Yeah.
A lampshade was a symbol. I got some.
Funny.
Oh, funny.
Oh, that is funny. But in your corporate world, it's S period O period D period. Does it stand for anything, or would they just not let you register the word sod?
Registered what? Sorry.
Would they just not let you register the word sod by itself?
Noisy sod. Well, Mum used to call me that, and it seemed like a good idea to call our company that. Some people get it, some people don't.
Yeah.
But actually, talking about my mum and dad, they were. I had really cool parents. They were just the best. Like I said, we weren't rich. We lived in a, semi-detached house in southwest London in Hounslow near the airport.
Yeah.
And so when I decided to, well, actually, I just had a practice pad until I was 15. Then when I was 15, I was not living at home, but Dad soundproofed his woodworking shed so I could play in there. They got egg boxes from all the neighbors and put some other stuff up and I couldn't play beyond 9 o'clock at night.
Right.
And I would have a light going, a power cord going into the house, and I'd have a Grundig tape player set up with the songs that I'd play on. But I'll play to, and I had 2 6-inch speakers either side of my head, learning how to play. I listened to Chuck Berry, Muddy Waters, Johnny Hooker. That's the stuff I listened to.
Funnily enough, the Grundig tape recorder was one that my brother Mike McGeer from the Scaffold had. Yeah. And when Paul came home one night, my grandmother, her mum, was awake in the middle of the night, and he went in and, he saw her light on. He went in. Are
you awake? And she said, well, I am now.
Right.
And they got talking about this. He said, well, what keeps you awake? She said, there's this sodding blackbird that comes on the windowsill about 3 o'clock in the morning, and it starts singing. And Paul had been writing a song that turned out to be Blackbird for many months beforehand, but he didn't really have the hook of it. And so he went in, Mike was away with the scaffold. He went in Mike's room and got his Grundig reel-to-reel tape recorder and recorded the Blackbird in my grandmother's room. Now, it's not the one you hear on the record. They replaced that at EMI. But
I'm sure they did.
Yeah,
that
was the catalyst for, the song Blackbird. That and we've got the original demo tape cassette in the bank, and he pulled
in the bank.
Yeah, it's in the safe deposit vault, because he says over and over, this one's dedicated to Edie. So as he's recording it at Abbey Road for real, he was dedicating it over and over to my grandmother, which is kind of a family treasure.
Is that you?
Yeah.
You're the grandmother.
No, her grandmother.
My grandmother. Her mother.
No, I'm Paul's stepmother. I was married to his dad.
Okay.
And he adopted Ruth. I was a widow and he adopted Ruth.
Yeah.
So she became Ruth McCartney and I was.
So that's how I grew up around Grundig tape recorders, you see.
Yeah.
Now your dad, my mum, this one here, qualified as a piano teacher when she was 13, but your dad played piano as well. So you've got something in common.
That's right. Not professionally. He was actually, his day job was, he was a panel fitter at Aston Martin's in the early 50s.
Gosh.
That was in Feltham. That was their old place. They moved to Newport Pagnell when they about 1960, I believe they moved. But so I'd come home at lunchtimes. I'd ride my bike and walk back from school, and there would be this like DB 24 DB3 parked outside the house, like British Racing Green Red, or one of the Kingfisher Blue was beautiful. So I grew up around sort of some pretty exotic cars.
Yeah.
But Dad's job, after he'd fit the panels or inside and fit the doors on, was he had to take them out for a drive. What a horrible job, right? Driving Aston Martins.
Rough gig, mate.
And just to see if there was any rattles or anything. Well, of course they rattled a little bit, but Dad would play. We had a piano at home. It was Mum's piano. Her father bought it for her, but Mum, I don't think, learned to play it really. Mum and Dad both grew up in the East End of London, and if you're familiar with EastEnders, there was any excuse to have a sing song.
Absolutely.
So Dad learned. He was self-taught. He learned to play somewhat in the style of like Fat Swallow, Alligator Crawl, Honeysuckle Rose, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he would play. It was called vamping. He would play the melody with his right hand, like that, and he played like a bass hand, like this. The real thing that sort of changed the world was, again, when I was about 11 or 12 years old. Dad brought home a record, a Jerry Lee Lewis record. I think it was a whole lot of shaking going on, but the B-side was Mean Woman Blues. And I remember this story. And Dad put the record on the record player at lunchtime and said, "Here, have a listen to this boy, son. He can really play the Joanna." So that was my introduction. And about 2 months later, maybe 2-3 months later, Jerry Lee Lewis came over. This is 1960, 61, I think, somewhere around there. And Jerry Lee Lewis was playing at a theatre in southwest London. And Dad took me, my best friend, Dave Hutchins, who was a bass player, and some family.
Wow.
I was never the same after that.
No, I'm not surprised. You didn't make a splash.
And Mum said, it addled his brain. He was never the same after that.
Addled his brain.
Your mum wasn't in Monty Python, was she?
No. Well, I think everybody watched Monty Python. They were hilarious, weren't they?
Wonderful.
They got away with all. They changed the BBC up to that point.
The Beeb, Auntie Beeb.
Auntie Beeb, yes, Auntie Beeb. But somebody's drinking wine.
Yes.
Oh, of course.
I was told I had to drink tea.
No, well,
it's one of my favourite cups. Can you read that?
I can't from here. Johnny Cash, yes.
Oh, lovely.
We had Johnny's son, John Carter Cash, on here a few months
Did
ago.
you really?
Yeah, from Cash Cabin. And one of the reasons we had him on was because, again, of for your consideration for the Grammys, he produced at Cash Cabin in Nashville, he produced a version of Folsom Prison Blues by our friends and clients, the String Revolution, featuring Tom Emanuel. And they were using FYC, and they were up for a Grammy, which they won. And so
Really?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Actually, I was always a Johnny Cash fan because my older brother, Colin, would buy all the records from Sun Records. Johnny Cash, what I loved about Johnny Cash back then when I was a kid was, even though he didn't have a drummer on his records, he didn't. It was just him and the Tennessee 2 or the Tennessee 3. Luther Perkins played guitar.
That's right.
And there was always a story. And there was always a rhythm going through it and always a story.
Yep.
I didn't always, like being 11 years old or so, didn't quite understand what the stories were, but I loved them.
Yeah.
I was the only kid when I'm riding my bike to school back when I was 11 or 12 singing Johnny Cash songs. Well, you love you, big river, more than me. Well, stop it, Roger.
No. They actually let Marcus Ilko and Janet Robin from the String Revolution band, they actually let them play the Luther Perkins guitar on the track. They have a whole collection of all of these old guitars at Cash Cabin. And so you hear that on the track. One of our viewers here, Barbara George, she says, I was in a band. I'll put it up on the screen. I was in a band, the Little Elliott Lloyd band, that warmed up for Foghat once at the Chance in Poughkeepsie, New York. And the audience couldn't wait for Foghat, and the place erupted when you took the stage. As one of our viewers has actually shared a stage with you once upon a time. Isn't that a small world?
Yeah.
Well, as Johnny Cash said one time, we've been everywhere, man. We've been everywhere.
I bet you have. Yeah. One of our other connections is Matthew and Gunnar Nelson. They're the twin boys of Ricky Nelson. Yeah. And they maintain that one of the best things that they learned from their dad, Ricky Nelson, was he said, you don't get paid to play the show because you do that for the love of it. You get paid for the lost luggage, the missed planes, the missed connections, sleeping, sitting up on a bus, eating crap food. That's what you get paid for. The show is the reward,
Well, yeah. I mean, the same thing with our band. We will talk about it from time to time. It's like we get paid for traveling.
That's right.
Cars and planes. We get paid for hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
Playing for an hour and a half each night. No, we do that for free. Shouldn't tell the promoters that, but
no, exactly.
I'm one of the fortunate few in this world that has got to earn a decent living doing something I love. I love playing with this band. I mean, I've played with some, fantastic musicians all my life. Of the original band, I'm the lonely survivor, but
that's right.
I play it. Brian Bassett, our lead and slide guitar player, is also our producer and engineer.
Oh yeah,
he produced our last 6 or 7 albums. He's been with the band 28 years.
Oh,
right. Yeah, he's not.
He's also
the newcomer. Yeah,
the newcomer. Right. He's played with Lonesome Dave and Rob Price, our previous guitar players.
Right.
Rodney O'Quinn is our bass player, great bass player. We stole him from the Pat Travers band.
Oh,
and Scott Holt, this is his 3rd year with the band. Our previous lead singer, Charlie Hune, retired just over 3 years ago. But Scott learned to play guitar playing in Buddy Guy's band.
Oh, good grief. Well,
so
quite the crew.
Yeah.
No, he can play.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It must have been tough losing Lonesome Dave in 2000, though. I mean, what a journey to go through.
Yeah. The interesting thing about that was Dave was very quiet, except when he got on stage. He was very introverted. I think he was probably shy, actually. But we always got on really well. He did leave the band in 1984. He moved back to England. I carried on playing. But he came back. He went out with his own band for a while, but eventually I talked him into sort of getting back with the original band. And the last tour we did was a bus tour. And one of the interesting things about it was that we talked a lot. When we were growing up, we didn't know each other in London, like when we were like teenagers.
Yeah.
We both went to all the same shows. We went to see Jerry Lee Lewis. We were at the same shows. We went to see Little Richard, Chuck Berry.
Of course.
We didn't talk about that prior to his last tour, which is kind of interesting. You know, after we do the show, we get on the bus and have some wine and cheese and crackers and stuff. We just talked. Dave was also the resident DJ on the bus.
Okay.
This is back when we had cassettes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he'd say, what do you want to listen to tonight? You want to listen to like blues, jazz, rock and roll, or he would carry a suitcase, a big suitcase with hundreds of cassettes of stuff.
Good heavens.
Wow.
And he was also an avid record collector, so he had just about everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really tough because Dave was the main songwriter in the band.
Right.
Being the lead singer, he knew everything. Actually, I always thought he was a closet drummer because he knew all the drummers on all the blues records, rock and roll records. He knew their names.
Wow.
And there was one time we had a couple of days off in Chicago. This was like in the mid 70s, and he didn't drive. Maybe I didn't drive. Maybe we took a cab. Anyway, we took a cab to a blues club on the south side. I think, what was it called? Mother Blues. That was it. Yeah. And we get there. We go in the front door. We pay our $3. And those were the days.
Yeah, big spender.
Instead of 300. Anyway, I make a right turn and I go to the bar. I get myself a cognac and I got Dave a white wine. And I turn around and he's still standing in the doorway. And it was a pretty crowded club. And he says, "Here, Rog, do you know who that is playing drums up on stage?" And I said, "No. Who is that, Dave?" He said, "That's Freddie Below." And I said, "Wow." Well, Freddie Below was one of the main drummers who did all the early Chess records. Chuck Berry. He was probably the session drummer. I used to sit down and play to his record. That's how I learned to play with.
Wow.
But he knew all the drummers in every record, every band.
Oh,
so
interesting.
We wander through the audience and we get to sort of the side of the stage, and the band was just about to take a break, and he sees me and Dave sort of standing there looking up at him like he's some kind of hero, which he was. Yeah. And he looks at us and we sort of say hello, and he realizes that we're a couple of English rockers, and he said, you guys want to get up and jam? We said, yeah.
Oh, boy.
So he goes off to the bar and we play for the next hour.
Oh, how wonderful. Isn't that lovely? Yeah.
He took a break.
Yeah. Best $3 you ever spent on yourself. Good grief. Yeah. That is just absolutely wild. So back in fast forwarding to a little bit after you lost Dave, how did you meet Scott Holt? That would be about 2014, wasn't it?
Right. You've got all your information. Who sent this to you?
I have an inside source.
I'm not allowed to say.
Hot blonde chick. She might take your fancy.
No, I'm happily married now.
Well, that's the hot blonde chick who's my source.
That's the hot blonde chick.
Well, you're a couple of blonde chicks, aren't you?
Out of a bottle.
Yeah. No.
Anyway, Scott Holt. Yeah. 2014, we were pretty much we were working on an album called Under the Influence, and it was a double album, vinyl, and we were about 2 or 3 songs short for the album. We needed a couple more songs, and a good friend of ours, a photographer, recommended Scott. Mm-hmm. He told us, he used to play with Buddy Guy, and he's got his own band, so he came down to our studio in DeLand, Florida, and we just hit it off. It was just like
Yeah.
So instead of writing 3 songs, we wrote 17.
Oh.
There's a difference.
And and that was the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Absolutely.
Scott and I kept in touch.
Yeah.
He would occasionally get up and jam with us if we were anywhere near where he lived.
Right, and he guested on Under the Influence too, didn't he?
Yes, yeah, right. Under the Influence, he played on 3 or 4 songs actually, and we also put an album out called. Well, we handed all these 17 songs to Linda, the bright one in the band, manager.
Yes.
Actually, Linda is the Holy Trinity. And what do you mean by that, Roger?
What do you mean by that, Roger?
Thank you.
Well, she's a hot blonde chick and my inside
She's my
source.
girlfriend, my best friend, and my wife. So, and the manager. Well, that makes 4, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
What would that be?
Quintinity. No, I don't know.
You've
We'll
got
look
it
it up.
made.
Holy
By the
Trinity.
sound of things, you've got it made. I think you sound like a wonderful team.
Yeah.
And I'm in love with your wife
Yes.
in a purely non-carnal way. Of course.
I understand.
I think she's
A lot of people love her. She is.
terrific.
She's out of the room, so I can talk about her now.
Yeah.
She is special. She has a heart as big as a wheel. It's something. We've been friends for ever since she was our office manager in 1976. That was the first time we met, and went to each other's weddings. We stayed friends. About 27 years ago, I thought I'd maybe ruined a perfectly good friendship, but
That's fantastic.
it's one of the best moves I ever made.
Good boy.
Nicely done.
That's lovely. That's
Nicely
great to
done.
hear. Yeah.
No, she works as many hours as we do. She's unbelievable, and she's on it, and she's passionate, and she's funny, and she jumps out of airplanes. What the hell's that all about?
She likes to fly. No, it's that's what she does. She says, "I fly my body." She hasn't done a parachute. She did a skydive about 3 or 4 years ago. But prior to that, she would. In fact, when we were just friends, she would go skydiving, and I would come and stay at her house and take care of Luke. He was the dog, and if I had a few days off, I'd stay here, and then I'd cook her dinner when she came home. Then I would clear her off or whatever I was doing. But we were just best friends. It was, in fact, for all these other people listening out there who haven't sort of found their partner, marry your best friend. Well, it's about the best advice I can give on that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Marry your best friend.
It works for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yes, it worked very well. But there again, I've actually stayed friends with my 2 ex-wives, probably because we had children. I had 3 daughters, and they all actually my ex-wives really love Linda too.
Good.
How could you not?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's the same with Martin and I. You know, we've obviously got exes, and we're all mates. And we actually lived, Martin, my husband, and my second husband, Dieter, another German. We were all roommates with Ange in a house in Woodland Hills, and the neighbors couldn't get enough of it because the guys would sit outside on the patio at night, yakking in German, drinking a beer, and Ange would go off to work or whatever, and I was doing odd jobs and running the house and building internet websites and things. And this neighbor just couldn't get over that I was living with my two husbands.
Yeah.
She it freaked her out.
I can remember one time.
It could be a plus.
Yeah, no, it was great. He was Dieter was on in Hollywood making a film. He's a director of photography, and he needed somewhere to stay for 3 months. And I'm like, well, we can rent your room. So, whatever. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
I mean, we're in the process of writing a book, amongst other things. It's that time of life to start, putting things down, and I was a little nervous about the friendships I'd had over the years with women, because there have been a number, and
you don't say. Are you kidding?
But and I'd stayed friends with a number of them over the years. It was just, you know, friends after the initial affair.
You're
And,
obviously what they would call a lovable bastard.
well, you know, I mean, you know, if you find something nice about each other, but you know, time moves. But one of the things, I was always traveling, and then that was one of the reasons that my first 2 marriages didn't work. I was never there.
Yeah,
That's right.
I mean, it's and you can't really blame, you know, your ex for sort of finding somebody after you've been away for 13 months. Not really. And they were all actually all my girlfriends except one, and both my wives were really special. I think ladies, really fine.
that's nice.
It was true. You know, I didn't bother with somebody who couldn't have a conversation with or hang out with or that other good stuff.
Right.
So when writing the book, I'm worried. I'm a bit concerned about how to
Frame it.
write it. You know, I didn't want it to be some kind of crass sort of thing about you did that. And I've read some of them, what some of the other drummers have written in their books.
Yeah.
And Linda said she came up with the title for that part of the book. She said, "Call it Love the One You With."
There you go.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But what was really good about it was the fact that I got the blessing from my wife and my manager and my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Well, that's I mean,
So that's over. And not that I've written anything about it yet. We haven't got to that bit because I wanted to leave it alone.
But that's nice though.
The other bits, all the other stuff's a bit more important. You know, the playing, music. You know, the band members that I've worked with.
Yeah.
Can't remember all the gigs that I did, but apparently that's all written down somewhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
In the universe.
Our friend Paul Moody from out here in Playa del Rey says, Loretta from Tui's says hello to you, Roger.
Tui's?
Yes.
Oh, Loretta.
Yes.
I know Loretta. Yeah, she
Okay.
used to work at Tui's. That was the local bar that we used to hang out in and play and jam. How is Loretta? Yeah, she's in California, right?
I don't know, but our friend Paul Moody is passing on her very best wishes
Hello,
to you.
Loretta.
That's nice.
Oh.
And yes, and Tina as well. Tina.
Okay. Fantastic. It's lovely.
Tina, Loretta. And I'm still good friends with Joe Basirico, who ran Tui's. That was the
what
he's
was
living
Tui's?
down in-
I don't know.
Where was Tui's?
Tui's was a club right here on Long Island in
Okay.
I see.
in East Setauket near Port Jefferson on the North Shore of Long Island, and that's where we would hang out. And
I see.
back in the days, it would stay up until 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
we were younger; we could handle that sort of stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
apparently
I think-
Loretta from Tui's right now is sitting at LA County's smallest bar called the Harbor Room. It only has 9 seats,
Oh no.
and it's down here 5 blocks from our house.
Oh.
And the sign in the window says "Open but don't expect much." So Loretta and Paul are sending you love from there.
And this bar, I went there when we first came to live in this part. I went out with a lady friend of mine who was, shall we say, portly. She was
Heavy set.
rather large. And as
Okay.
we walked into the Harbor Room, the guy said, "We don't usually serve obese people in case they sweat on the wallpaper.
That kind of a joint.
But what do you want?"
Well, it
you know?
was. It's nice now.
So
Nice
it's-
new owners.
Yeah,
So, you know.
it's still my favorite bar. It's the smallest bar in LA. And that's one of those that used to stay open until 4 in the morning, as long as anybody wanted to drink.
Yeah,
They
used
stayed
to.
open.
Can't do
Yeah.
that anymore.
Mm.
But back to Foghat.
Yeah.
Back to
Foghat. So Charlie Hoon retired in January of 2022, and then Scott took over. So what is that transition like when you keep going through personnel band change members? Obviously, there's a learning process with each other's musicality, but there's also the chemistry and the brotherhood and all of that. It just has to fit, doesn't it?
Scott fitted with the band when I first met him in 2014.
Right.
It was natural. Our bass player at the time, Craig McGregor, was in the band. He'd been with us for a long time. He was my brother by a different mother, and he just loved Scott, as did I. And like I said, we wrote 17 songs together over a period of 3 or 4 days.
Oh,
I mean,
Yeah.
it was like, you know, it was working. And then we put an album out called Earl and the Agitators.
Right.
Right.
You opened for yourself, didn't you? Didn't Earl and the Agitators open for Foghat? Did you accidentally glue yourself to yourself? How did that work?
No, yeah, it was. I don't do that sort of thing anymore. That was back when I was younger, and I could handle playing for like 3.5 hours.
Oh boy, boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
Drumming is such great exercise.
Yeah, we did open up for ourselves a number of times. It seemed like a good idea, and it was a fun thing. But after doing an hour of Agitators and an hour and a half of Foghat, it was actually it was fun. This was what I mean. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was.
Wow.
But I don't want to do that anymore. An hour and a we're actually playing nearly 2 hours now. If we're booked, generally we're booked for doing either an hour and 15 or an hour and a half.
Wow.
And our road manager just asked the promoter prior to us being there if we can play longer, or what do they want? Because union halls usually have like a time problem.
Yep.
yeah.
I have all the set lists written out, and we change them on occasion. But I always have set lists for everybody. You know, for the crew, guitar tech, drum tech, front of house guy. We have everything from a 45-minute, 1 hour, hour and 15. 2 hours, or if we can play all night long. So
good God. Well, that's the beauty of your kind of music, though. It is just classic, you know, structure. And if like you experienced in Chicago, there's somebody famous in the house that wants to get up and jam, you just go for a 3-chord blues, and you can go all night with that stuff, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, I can play a shuffle.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, I should imagine. Yeah, absolutely.
It's required if you're playing a blues band. Well, like I said, my teacher was a jazz drummer. Not that I would ever consider myself such, but you know, I studied Buddy Rich drum rudiments. I think I got through page 1.
Wow.
Page 1.
Our friend Peter Gorman is asking, was Brian with Wild Cherry?
Yes. It was with Wild Cherry. Play That Funky Music, White Boy, 1976. And in fact, we play that song in the set. You know, Brian was the lead guitar player in the band and wrote that riff. So, we play that in the as first encore or third from the end, something like that. Goes down great. I mean, everybody's heard that song.
Oh God, yeah, it's one of those.
It's
Everybody knows
classic.
it. Yeah.
And so how did you're going to be submitting and soliciting for Grammy nominated, Grammy eligible voters for a contemporary blues album with Sonic Mojo? How did that come about? I mean, it's been, I know we're not supposed to talk about it too much, but it's a huge Billboard chart smash as well. How did the idea and the title especially come about? Sonic Mojo.
I've got no idea. Don't ask me things like I've got no idea. I'll just bang the drum. No. I'm not sure how the record came about. COVID nightmare struck, and just prior to that we maybe recorded 2 or 3 songs with Scott. And then the COVID nightmare cleared up. Charlie left the band, and we just started recording again.
Great.
The Grammy thing, I've got no idea about that. I leave it up to others.
Well, you got me, Linda, and Kerry on the wall. So we have a manager who is really good. Great. But it's been in the charts, the Billboard Blues charts for the top 10 for 6 months, I think, which is pretty crazy. Yeah.
In fact, it re-entered the top 10 today, I think, a number 8 or something.
Good heavens, great. Yeah.
Linda sometimes leaves little notes on the bedside, because Linda's always up early before me.
Wow.
I'm a rock star. I don't get up early.
Yeah, right. Our friend Albert from near Chicago, St. Charles, Illinois, is saying he would often wonder why you were play that funky music, White Boy, and now he knows.
Yeah.
And he's seen you numerous times at the Arcada Theatre in St. Charles.
Oh, that's a lovely place.
And when you're there, he actually works the shows, so he's part of the front of house crew.
Yeah.
The Arcada's Theatre is fantastic. One of my favorite places to play.
I know, it's
Me
I
too.
love the promoter.
Ron Onesti is the best.
And they have the best meatballs I've ever had.
Oh,
better than I can.
No, it is worth traveling to the Arcada
For the meatballs.
for the meatballs.
theatre,
Stay
rather.
for the music.
just to taste.
Yeah. Go for the
Meatballs.
meatballs and stay for the music.
That's it.
I love the speakeasy. Where
Upstairs.
you went in with the bookcase.
I mean, you've been there, didn't you?
Oh,
know?
yeah, we did a show.
We have a magical history tour, and we played there as part of the Liverpool Legends Beatles show. And we went up and did our narration sort of bit. And our friend Tony Bennett's daughter, was there the same night playing upstairs
in the jazz room,
in the
wasn't she?
speakeasy.
Yeah.
So a grand time was had by all.
In fact, the speakeasy upstairs, we recorded a live version of Earl and the Agitators.
Oh,
Yeah, we recorded a live set up there one time when the Agitators were opening up for Foghat one time when we played there. What's his name? The owner,
Ron Onesti.
Ron Onesti. How could I forget that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ron.
It's
It's
all
not
right.
that I didn't care for you or care about you. I'm really old and I forget names. What's your name, Roger?
No,
my
actually,
name.
actually, Ron will just be thrilled that you are a fan of his meatballs.
Yeah, Ron's a beautiful man, actually.
Yes, he is
I love him
lovely.
dearly.
yeah.
When we met him, his mom had just passed, and the day we came to do our show was the day of her funeral. But he still showed up. He treated Angie like a queen. He was just he's the consummate host. And
Yeah, he's a
the
beautiful
beautiful
man.
thing, and the lovely thing was when we went up to the speakeasy afterwards, that one of the little side rooms where you can sit and have, cocktail, all of the glasses and the china and everything were his mum's personal collection, but the whole thing is furnished from his mum's
Yeah.
world. So yeah, no,
That's
the
a special
Arcada's
place
great.
to play.
Oh, fabulous.
That's right.
And all the ladies were dressed in flapper gear, weren't
Yeah.
they?
20s, all the
Flapper
cocktail
costumes.
waitresses all dressed like the
Yeah.
20s. Fantastic.
That is, it's special. Chicago's a great city.
Yeah.
Just from a musical point of view, I mean, the amount of artists. I mean, that's basically the birth of, the electric blues. Muddy moved there.
Yeah.
Buddy Guy moved there. John Lee Hooker was there as well, though I think he actually.
And comedy
worked
too.
in
I think
Detroit.
I know a number of comedic people who've
Second
No,
City,
yeah.
Second City first.
worked in
Out
a
of
great
Chicago.
deal in Chicago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The only thing that sucks is their pizza. It's like a swimming pool full of cheese. I don't get it, but whatever.
The pizza there.
It's a bit weird, isn't it?
You mean the pizza at the Arcada?
No, in just Chicago deep dish.
Oh, I've always had really good pizza there. That rivals even some of the stuff we get in New York City.
Okay, well, I must be eating at the wrong places, but what do I?
Yeah, no, the pizza in Chicago is great. It's a thick pizza I really like. Well, that's what they're famous for.
Yeah, the deep dish. It's like sitting in a jacuzzi full of cheese.
Oh, that might be nice, actually. When you get to my age, anything sounds nice.
Sounds a bit sexy, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Oh. Yeah.
That is fantastic.
Now, I am told by our favorite spy
yes.
that you have a quote about Dudley Moore that you favor. Can you remember what that is?
About what?
Yeah,
By Dudley Moore.
Dudley Moore.
You often quote him, don't you?
Oh, well, actually, no, his portrayal of Arthur.
Oh, that
Yes.
was fabulous. Yeah.
And he was a fantastic musician and piano
Oh, yeah.
player.
Wasn't he
I know.
just? Yeah, and a lovely guy.
Dudley's portrayal of Arthur in that film is just hilarious.
Yeah,
In
it
fact,
was,
I've probably seen it like half a dozen times because I think
Oh,
we had
I
it on
have.
one of our bus tours.
Yeah, it's one of those you can always watch again.
Oh, one, Linda. Oh, She's
Yeah,
coming
well,
over now.
Yeah, she thinks you're calling for her. Oh,
I can tell you what the quote is if you can't remember it. The best
no.
thing to have is fun.
isn't fun the best
Pardon?
thing to
Isn't
have?
fun the best
Oh,
thing to have?
right.
Yeah.
Isn't fun the best thing?
Isn't fun the best thing to have?
Yes. She comes. This is Princess Gloria. She comes from a very small country in the Caribbean. It's so tiny they've had the entire island carpeted.
That's right. That's right. Could beat the crap out of Rhode Island.
Yeah, could beat the crap out of Rhode Island in a war.
In a
Like,
war.
okay, when's that going to happen?
Right.
Now, when I first moved to LA in 1982-ish, I had the biggest crush on Dudley Moore, and I was going to go and meet him and buy him lunch or fish and chips and have dinner with him or whatever. So I called the operator thing. It used to be not 911, that's emergency, 41131. I don't know. Called the operator, and I pretended to be Dudley Moore's agent's secretary from William Morris. And I started pretending. I was going, I have to get a package to Mr. Dudley Moore, and I'm I'm a temp, and this is my final week on trial, and I've lost the address, and I need to call him right now because he's going to the airport, and I need his phone number. And oh my God! And they gave me his phone number. So of course I got myself a glass of champagne, rang him up, and said, I believe you live somewhere in Venice. I'm British. I'd like to buy you fish and chips. And he's like, well, yes, I live at 550 Oceanfront Walk, which is literally right across here.
You're dangerous, Ruth.
Oh,
Yeah.
she was.
So I said, well, I'll give you a ring sometime when I'm headed that way. So I didn't ring him for a month, but every Saturday and Sunday, I would go and camp out in front of his house with my blanket, my big umbrella, and my boombox, and, lay on the beach and sunbathe right in front of his house. And one day he came out on the balcony and he said, hello. I said, hello. He said, oh, you British? I said, yes, I'm that crazy bitch who called you up about a month ago. He's like, would you like to come in? I'm cooking trout. So I went in for dinner, and the rest is history.
That's fabulous. What a great story.
Don't
I
you
never
know?
had a chance to meet him.
Oh, he was
gorgeous.
lovely. Yeah.
So funny.
He was funny and a great piano player.
Oh, wonderful.
Right.
Fantastic.
Oh, absolutely incredible. He used to play the Edinburgh Festival. Do you remember? Peter Cook and Dudley Moore.
Right, and he played in a club in London, like when I was growing up.
Bag of Nails, maybe?
Not the Bag of Nails, no. In a club down at
Johnny
Jazz Club.
Yeah. God, what's it called? On Frith Street or Argyle Street.
Yeah, somewhere in Soho.
God, we're all getting old now. We're forgetting names.
In one ear and out the other. Whatever. Well,
Ronnie Scott.
Ronnie Scott. There you go.
Probably played there. Yes, you're right. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Ronnie Scott.
It took the 94-year-old to remember it.
Almost 95.
94?
94.
Yes.
Oh,
I'd have been 95, but my father was a bit shy.
Crazy. So you guys
That's a
are
good one. My father was a bit shy.
Yeah, you
That's
borrow that.
beautiful. I'm going to try and remember that one.
You can have that.
You
Yeah.
can have that one.
Yeah.
So you've got Sonic Mojo is out and charting and being played everywhere. If you haven't heard it yet, I listen to it all the time when I'm working, and I hear a different thing every time I listen to it. There it is. Get it now wherever you get your music. Please don't rent it from a streaming service. Please actually buy it. Go to the website, put your hand in your pocket and get the vinyl or the CD or whatever. And we hope Sonic Mojo wins a Grammy too. And then you're out on tour. So you're in a couple of days, 2 days from now, Thursday, you're in Shipshewana, Indiana at the Blue Gate. And then Gatlinburg, Sparks, Nevada, Tracy, California, Yakima, Washington, Ferndale, Cerritos, California, Manhattan, Kansas. You're all over the shop.
Just go to foghat.com.
Yep.
And get all your news. Oh, and I think I
Absolutely.
opened this one last night.
Oh, nice. And Foghat wine.
Foghat wine.
Indeed.
Here this is a 2012 Cabernet Sauvignon. We have a 2013 Pinot Noir.
Ooh.
Both of them are absolutely fabulous. And we have a 2012 Chardonnay, which is kind of long in the tooth for a Chard, but it's absolutely delicious. It's
totally good.
yeah, it's really rich. So
Foghat wine. Indeed.
yeah, Foghat wine, 2014.
Well, you
Sorry,
can start.
Chardonnay for 2014.
You
Obviously,
can
I
start.
haven't been paying attention.
You
Yeah,
could start.
wine.
You could have
Wine has always been our beverage of choice.
Yes.
Yes,
Me too.
me too.
Cheers. I
Cheers.
shall have to get foggy with some Foghat. But you could have a completely rock and roll day. You could start with a Mrs. McCartney's English breakfast tea and then go straight into happy hour with Foghat wine, you see.
Yes, you can do that.
Aha.
Indeed, indeed. Well, our regular viewers will know that our esteemed guests don't get out of here without the limerick lady giving them their own personalized limerick. So the crowd goes wild. We would love to thank you. See, everybody go to the link in the thing, go at the bottom, go to foghat.com, and they're all going, yeah, woohoo, limerick time. They know it well. So are you ready to be limericked upon, Sir Roger?
I don't know. Is it gonna hurt?
You're going to need
Not really into pain.
No, you might need a box of Kleenex and a little privacy after this, but you'll be all right. Okay. So a 1, 2, 3. We say thanks to this drummer named Earl. With Foghat, he makes his sticks whirl. He pounds with such grace and a smile on his face. His rhythms will make your head swirl.
Ta-da!
So there you go.
I wrote that in my life.
That was
morning.
very moving.
Oh,
That's never happened before. That's the first time.
hasn't really.
You're very, very welcome.
Hopefully, we're going to get a chance to meet you.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure we will.
Days.
You're coming next
I will look forward to that, actually.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Immensely. This has really been terrific. Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
Oh,
I was a little unsure. I'm having tea with a couple of people from Scousland, and I said, okay, all right. And I turned up. But this has been a beautiful surprise. Thank you. This has been terrific.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Roger. It was lovely.
Yeah, usually when people say you're having tea with two Scousers, the next thing you do is hide your wallet.
No.
Hide your watch.
Hide your keys.
Any people I've met from Liverpool have been really sort of down to earth, really sort of cool people.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you so much. Everyone head to foghat.com and also fyconline.com. You'll find them on our front page. If you happen to be an eligible Grammy voter, please, for your consideration in Contemporary Blues Album, Sonic Mojo. It is a fabulous record and you are a fabulous band. And thank you so much for your generosity of time in the middle of a tour.
It's been my pleasure.
All
I
right.
had nothing to do at the moment. I was going to go fishing, but the tide's out, so I have to wait. No, this has been really enjoyable. Thank you.
Right.
Looking
And
forward to
thank
meeting you.
Thank you, Linda, for
Okay.
setting it all up.
Yes.
Appreciate you both.
Thank you, Linda.
Lots of love.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.